Eagles rookie safety Andrew Mukuba just won a starting job against the Cleveland Browns on Saturday. I'll tell you why, coming up next right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We thank you so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Welcome in, Eagles fans, to this bonus Saturday edition of the show, recapping the Eagles' second preseason game at Lincoln Financial Field against the Cleveland Browns. You can find our shows Monday through Friday on all podcast platforms and on YouTube as well. Also, our guys, Harry Mays and Jason Martias, they're going live on our YouTube channel for our Locked On Eagles squad show around this time as well, so you can find that on YouTube and all podcast platforms. We got you covered Monday through Friday, and then, hey, when the Eagles are playing on Saturdays in the preseason, we still got a couple episodes for you. Sundays on game day, we got you covered pretty much every single day of the week right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. And again, this game with Cleveland was very up and down. Definitely some players that did not help their case to either start, have a role on offense or defense or special teams, maybe even make the 53-man roster. But there were a lot of players today that I was extremely pleased with. And I think the biggest takeaway, of course, from this game actually has to do with, and again, the second preseason game normally is about the backups, but for me, the biggest takeaway from this matchup was that Andrew Mukuba just won a starting safety job next to Reed Blankenship. Sidney Brown has been the favorite pretty much all summer, getting first-team reps next to Reed. Mukuba has been sprinkled in, but because of that shoulder injury, he was held out of the first preseason game against Cincinnati, wasn't able to practice for a few days, and I felt like kind of got behind the eight ball a little bit. And that's why I said this week on the show, who am I watching the most in joint practices in the second game against the Browns? It's Andrew Mukuba, because if he goes out there and makes some plays, we know they want him to be the starter long term. And I think Sidney Brown hasn't really lost the job, but I don't think he's done anything to completely win it over Mukuba. And the tie should go to the second round pick with a higher upside, and he's the long-term investment. Well, today he showed that it's not even a tie. Like, he's your starting safety. I've already seen enough. That 75-yard pick six is exactly why Vic Fangio handpicked Mukuba to replace what C.J. Gardner-Johnson did so well in 2024. I mean, the way he closed in on that pass, worked through traffic. He went in between two Cleveland Brown pass catchers, jumped the route, finished the play, which is really important. We saw Quinyon Mitchell a lot last year get in those areas, those opportunities to make turnovers, but couldn't complete the play. Mukuba made the catch, and then he was off to the races, 75 yards to the house for a touchdown. Mukuba had 5 interceptions last year with Texas. He's a ball hawk. That is his elite trait. That is why you drafted him to replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who is leaving Philadelphia with 6 interceptions, walking out the door from 2024. So seeing that, seeing those instincts, seeing the ball skills, seeing the speed to close in and to fit through that tight window was just, it looked like a veteran play. And then for him to recover a fumble as well, working through the mud, getting in there, getting dirty. Like, Mukuba has such an intense mentality. Some people are concerned he won't hold up because of that with his smaller frame, but that's how he got those 2 turnovers today. A fumble recovery and a 75-yard pick six. I think he had a really good performance. I think that goes without saying, and he showed why he should be the starting safety in 2025. And Sidney Brown, look, a good player. I think in a vacuum, someone that could start. But I think he's better suited to be a special teams ace, a gunner with that long-range speed and that hit power, and a third safety that plays in dime packages. Like, I still think there's a role for Sidney Brown this year. He's a really hard hitter. He has range as a deep safety if Mukuba's down in the box or maybe covering somebody in coverage man-on-man or in zone, playing closer to the line of scrimmage. Sidney Brown's somebody that can cover a lot of space deep. If Reed Blankenship's doing that, Sid can play deep as that, like, outfielder, if you will, for a baseball term. But I think overall we knew Mukuba had the more diverse skill set. He's the better man coverage player. He has much better ball skills than Sidney Brown, better hands. I think he's overall just a more crafted, polished player, even as a rookie. So I think it makes sense that he did what he did today. And it's just so cool to see him go out there and actually do what we were all hoping to see him do. And he did more. I just want to see him go out there and make some plays, but to get a 75-yard pick six and then recover a fumble is awesome. And it was also great to see him bounce back because he kind of got sunned on a play the drive before where he just got moved off his spot and allowed a big reception. To see the rookie have short-term memory and then make that pick right after, really, really impressive stuff. So that to me was the biggest takeaway from today, is that Andrew Mukuba should be your starting safety in 2025 next to Reed Blankenship from the jump September 4th, Thursday night at Lincoln Financial Field against the Dallas Cowboys. Another rookie, though, that shined today, Jihaad Campbell. Howie Roseman, ladies and gentlemen, might have done it again. His 2025 draft class, it looks pretty damn good. Both his top two picks, Jihaad Campbell and Andrew Mukuba, showed off the elite trait that made them those selections on day one and day two. Of course, we know about Mukuba. Campbell, though, the very first play of the game shows why he's special. Just lining it up as a inside linebacker, comes crashing through the A-gap, completely blows by the guard on a blitz, and gets a sack on the first play of the game. Like, that is why you draft Jihaad Campbell, because he can affect the pass in so many different ways. He can get to the quarterback in so many areas of the formation, but especially crashing downhill through the middle of the line of scrimmage. Like, he is a matchup nightmare against guards with that speed. If you can't get your hands on him right away before he builds up that speed, then good luck. And when you're blitzing through the A-gap or the B-gap, it makes Jihaad Campbell a nightmare. And I thought he was a really good tackler today, had a couple of nice stops on third down as well. Jihaad Campbell, Andrew Mukuba, they had a really strong showing. Campbell has been one of the best players over the last couple of weeks in practice, in the preseason. He had a sack today, should have had an interception in week one. I feel it's great because Howie drafted a linebacker and safety, and this will only encourage him to continue to invest in those positions moving forward in the future. But they're showing off why they were the top two picks for the Eagles in the 2025 draft class. So overall, like, that's what I'm most excited about from this game, was that Campbell and Mukuba were great. But another thing that I wanted to see, and look, I know they gave up a lot of yards on defense today, and there were some turnovers like DTR with that brutal pick six in the third quarter, but I got to see everything that I needed to see, that I wanted to see today, especially on defense. Like, I got to see Mukuba win the job. It was great to see Campbell being utilized to his strengths and getting that sack. But the other thing I wanted to see was at least one of Azeez Ojulari and or Josh Uche get to the quarterback consistently, because I thought they were pretty quiet in that first game against the Bengals. Well, Uche was pretty quiet today again, but Azeez Ojulari was one of the best players on defense, and it was in the pass rushing way. Like, yeah, the run defense wasn't great from him or pretty much anybody else. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. kind of struggled today as well. The interior of the defensive line kind of got worked a little bit. But Azeez Ojulari, what is his job for 2025? It's to get to the quarterback as that third or fourth guy in the rotation. I think it's likely going to be the third guy behind Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. He had a big sack on third down in the second quarter. Early on in the first quarter as well, another really nice pass rush win on a second and long, obvious pass rushing situation. Showed off good speed, really good moves. I thought Ojulari was a really good player today. And again, we've been hearing about it in camp, but I kind of wanted to see it for my own eyes, because I was getting a little bit nervous about the edge group, especially from a depth perspective with Uche and Ojulari. But Ojulari had a great game. So I'm happy. Mukuba won the starting safety job, in my opinion. I feel a little bit better about the edge depth. Campbell looks like a complete stud. And I thought a lot of other players played well, and we'll get into that coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. Some guys did struggle, though, too. The cornerback battle wages on for that second job on the outside. We'll get into that as we continue to recap Eagles-Browns right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. Today's episode of the Locked On Eagles podcast, we are brought to you by Yahoo Fantasy Football. It's the best time of year. NFL kickoff. It's almost here. September 4th, right around the corner. Eagles, Cowboys. That means fantasy football season is back and in full swing. This year, Yahoo Fantasy is turning things up with a fantasy football experience like never before. So if you notice, I'm not in my normal podcast studio right now. Why? I'm out of town with all my friends, 13 of us, for our annual fantasy football trip. We are drafting today through Yahoo Fantasy, 13 teams, 2 keepers. We have very specific custom scoring formats that we have to have our platform be able to provide, and Yahoo Fantasy can do just that. And actually, to celebrate 28 years of fantasy football greatness, Yahoo Fantasy is dropping 28 big new features over 28 days throughout August. To kick it off, they just dropped Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine Leagues, which I love Guillotine. It's a killer new way to play fantasy football on Yahoo, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated each week until there's one team left standing. If you're more into the classics, though, you can still play in head-to-head private leagues or join a public league as well. Stay tuned for more killer announcements and start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football now at yahoofantasy.com/LockedOnNFL. And guys, today's show is also sponsored by Gametime. We've all been there, logging on early, waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. Live music, it should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Well, Gametime's zone deals, they pick the best seats in the section that's right for you. Plus, you can get a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises with your seat. Take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Eagles fans, we are recapping the Eagles-Browns Week 2 preseason matchup. Andrew Mukuba wins the starting job at safety, in my opinion, after a pick six and a fumble recovery. Jihaad Campbell gets a sack on the first play of the game off a blitz through the A-gap. That was great. Azeez Ojulari with a couple nice pass rush wins, had a sack on third down in the second quarter. Overall, again, the defense definitely struggled at times, especially early on. Dylan Gabriel kind of carved this team up, like the Browns did on Thursday in the joint practices, but I was pretty happy with what I saw. A lot of the things I laid out this week on the show that I needed to see, I got to see it. And other players played well too, like Azeez Smith today. Really impressed by the second-year receiver. I think he's a roster lock now. I think he went out there these last two preseason games against the Bengals and Browns and won a job on the 53 as that fifth or number 6 receiver on your depth chart. Another really nice red zone touchdown today. The same route that he won in the red zone for a touchdown last week. Got that inside release, an explosive first step, finished the play, made the catch. He was having some, drop issues last summer and just lacked that explosiveness off the line of scrimmage. He felt kind of lost. This year he's playing much more confident. There was another third down conversion in the first half where he beat a corner on that inside route over the middle of the field, converted, moved the chains, got the first down. When you add on the 2 touchdowns, a nice third down conversion today, a big 42-yard punt return last week where he made multiple defenders miss. When you look at the fact that, Avery Williams hasn't really done much, Johnny Wilson's a lock as a top 4, and then, of course, there's Darius Cooper battling for a spot. But Azeez has been one of your more consistent players in the preseason. He was a draft pick just last year, versatile, can play special teams and offense. I'm very impressed by Azeez. And last week I said before the Bengals game, I was like, he's been kind of quiet. I don't know if he's going to make the 53 with the way Darius Cooper has been shining. And, at that time, I still believed in Terrace Marshall Jr.'s chance of making the roster. Now I'm kind of out on that. But Azeez, good for him, man. He was on the 53 last year, maybe not justifiably so, but he continued to grow. That last preseason game last year, he did a lot of good things, then made some plays in Week 18, caught a touchdown against the Giants, and he's carried that momentum into the summer with the preseason. 2 touchdowns in 2 games, a big third down conversion, and a big punt return. I'm impressed with Azeez Smith, and I thought he earned a roster spot today. So that's a lot of the positives. Like Kyle McCord looked a lot better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Loved that touchdown to Azeez Smith from McCord's perspective. Knew he was going to get drilled, stuck in there, made the throw, hit Azeez Smith in stride. I think he's in the lead now as your QB3. DTR, that pick 6 in the third quarter, just brutal. You can't have that. He also just didn't know when to kill a play in the first quarter. Ended up just throwing it in the air. Got bobbled up by 2 linemen. A.J. Dillon caught it for a 14-yard loss. So DTR struggled today for sure. Definitely wasn't the DTR revenge game against Cleveland. McCord was the better player. I think now, I would have said heading into this week, DTR was the favorite to be QB3. Now I think it's Kyle McCord if they do keep a third quarterback on this roster. So those are all the positives. I'll also give a shout out to Jacorian Bennett. He had a couple nice reps before he got hurt today, including a really good pass breakup where he stretched across the receiver, showed off his length. I thought he was the best corner of the 3 between him, Adoree Jackson and Keely Ringo battling for that second corner job on the outside. But I don't think anybody, including Bennett, really pulled away in this race. Mac McWilliams had a good game too, I thought, actually, on the outside. I don't know if he's a serious contender for that job, but Mac's been putting together, a couple good weeks as well. Another day 3 rookie from this class that is impressing me. But again, I don't think anybody ran away with it. Ringo didn't do much today, pretty quiet on his front. Adoree Jackson, though, I think nobody won a job today, but Adoree Jackson showed me again that he just doesn't belong in this 53-man roster. He was a bad tackler today. He gave up way too much depth, gave up a lot of receptions, just does not look explosive. I don't get it. I don't know if the Eagles are seeing things in practice that I'm not seeing. But I look at him versus Ringo and Jacorian Bennett and even Mac McWilliams, and I'm like, why are we considering starting this player? I don't think he has it. He missed some tackles today. Again, just gives way too much depth and doesn't have the speed to close in on routes, the instincts that maybe he used to or that these other corners have, even if the variance with those players is up and down as well. I don't know if anybody won a job today, that starting job between Ringo and Bennett, but I think Adoree Jackson lost it. That's my opinion, at least. Not only do I not believe he's the starter, I'm not cutting Eli Ricks for Adoree Jackson. I'm not cutting Mac McWilliams. I'm sorry. After the Jacorian Bennett trade, I think Adoree's played his way off the roster. So nobody really ran away with it. I still think that means Ringo's in the lead, but Jacorian Bennett had a good game. I was actually pretty happy with the way Bennett looked. Montrell Johnson, another player that was pretty impressive in the backfield at running back for the Eagles. I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster because the Eagles are not going to carry 4 running backs, but he ran the ball pretty well today. So overall, it was a pretty solid performance from a lot of players. Again, I thought Jeremiah Trotter Jr. struggled. Smile Mondin had some nice plays. There was a great third down in the second half where he worked through multiple blocks to stop a screen play to get off the field on third down. So it was good. Some of the corners, though, the depth corners were, especially in the slot, had a brutal performance. The tackling wasn't always great. The defensive line against the run, not a strong showing from them. The offensive line was pretty up and down. It was kind of a sloppy game at times, but I saw what I needed to see. And so overall, I'm leaving this game pretty happy. I think they bounced back pretty well from the joint practice they had on Thursday, which was not very good. So what I wanted to see was accomplished. Mukuba made the plays I wanted to see to win the job. Azeez Ojulari got to the quarterback. Jihaad Campbell shined. The offensive line, I thought we kind of got some answers with the depth there. Tyler Steen not playing inactive. He has won and earned that starting right guard job. So not a bad day overall for the Eagles. Sloppy at times, but I'm feeling pretty happy. We'll continue to recap it throughout the week, Monday through Friday. We got a show for you right here on the Locked On Eagles podcast. Until then, I'm going to sign off. Thanks as always for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. Thanks so much for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.